Welcome to another episode of Not the Shop Podcast, y'all. It's your boy Mac Mall, man. I'm back with another episode. Today I got a special guest, man. One of the pioneers from the neighborhood. He's a definitely good role model. Hell of a dude, man. I'm gonna let him tell his own story, man. So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, and man, we're gonna go from there. You feel me?
Let's do it. My name is Cedrick Hunter, owner of Hunter's Realty. I do all things real estate. I'm a second generation real estate broker. I've been doing it for over 30 years, and I touch in all areas of real estate. I got a boutique firm and with 28 agents, and we are serving the community.
That's what's up, man. What part of Chicago are you from?
West Side, born and raised, Lawndale.
The Lawndale area?
Lawndale, born and raised in Lawndale, and then moved out to Austin when I got out of high school.
Oh, okay. What high school you went to?
I went to Collins.
Collins?
Cobras, baby. Red
okay.
West.
Okay. How old are you?
40. Well, I'll be, what time is it? I'll be 50 in a month.
Oh, okay, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, I'm definitely
Yeah.
going to send some birthday love to
There
you.
it is. That's what's up.
Yeah,
Yep,
for
that's
sure,
what's
for
up.
sure. So,
Yes, sir.
before we get into, actually what you do, I want to give people like a picture of who you are, like the character, who is Ced Hunter? You know what I mean? Like, what type of upbringing did you have? Did you grow up with both parents?
Yep, I grew up with both parents, humble beginnings, but I did come from an entrepreneurial background. So my dad did real estate, and my mom had a restaurant, soul food restaurant. So I dibble and dabble in both of those coming up, and started out in my mom's restaurant, flipping burgers and doing things like that, and then eventually ended up going with my dad to do real estate. But I started off, like I said, doing the restaurant thing, and then I went to Collins, and they got me a job at Collins, like a work program. So I did that for a little while, working at a bank. For a while, I was a teller, and they didn't like me there too much. I don't know. I was doing a lot of stuff there, but I guess I knew transactions so much, and teachers were so mundane. They do the same thing over and over. I worked at a credit union. And they would come in to do their same thing. They would come in with their check, and then looking for getting money back from the deposit. And I end up memorizing their account numbers. So by the time I see them getting off the elevator, I had the whole transaction done, and I was giving them the change back when they gave me the check. And he was like, "Hold on, wait a minute, what's going on here? What's this?" I just memorized your number. I'm good with numbers.
Right.
And so I did that for a while, and then got into another job. It was like a scam. It was an ad in the paper, and the paper said something about become a manager trainee at this particular company, and you can make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of $1,000s. So me and my guys at the time, like, what we love is this is a great opportunity. You can make like $7,000, $8,000 a month at 18 years old. I'm like, even if we don't do good, we can make $2,500, $3,000 a month. So we instantly went to the paper, started picking out apartments and cars, and got into this job. Ended up being a dead end, a scam. It was nothing to it. Didn't make any money. Ended up paying to go to work. And then I was sleeping on the floor in my parents' house. And my dad kicked me one day and said, "Come on to work with me." And I got up like, okay. And that was the rest is history.
So you was like, around 17, 18?
I was about 18, 19, if I can recall. 18, 19, I went into the real estate office. My dad, I'm a second generation real estate broker. So he was doing real estate, a small company, the company at that particular time. And I came in just doing clerical work, helping out around the office, doing things, answering phones, stuff like that, just helping out. And I remember at that point in time, I would get in, we went in the office early, and I would go with them. And then, like I said, people would call in and say, "I want to sell a house," and I would pick up the call, and then I would have to call the agents to wake them up and say, "Hey, I got somebody who want to buy a house." And they were like, "Hello, oh, okay." And I call them, and then 30 days later, I remember my dad used to have me writing checks back then. I'd write a check, and then he would sign the check, And I'm writing a check for $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000 or whatever the number was for a commission. And then the light bulb went off one day. I said, I can do it. I can do this. And I got a license, and I got right into real estate immediately, right then and there.
That's what's up, man. I want to know one thing, right? Because I'm not. I wasn't as fortunate as you to have both parents in the household. Tell me, what was that like growing up with both parents?
It was awesome. It's like a balance. So, and I didn't take it for granted. Back then you take everything for granted. You don't know. And it was just a balance. So my mom did the restaurant thing, and my dad came home. Even when the restaurant was failing, he would pump money into the business, to her business, to keep it afloat. So it was a balance. So I saw my dad working every day, and he was a hard worker, extremely hard worker. And I saw my mom; she worked. So it was a balance, and I think it kind of helped with it, me being well-rounded.
Mm-hmm. Did you go to college?
Did I go to college? Yes, I did. I think I did 2 years. I did 2 years at Northeastern Illinois University. Did that for a couple years, and then I got out and then just did the real estate thing full time.
So what was it about college that struck you? What did you go for? You went to college to learn business, or was it something? Because most people go to college, wind up in a career that had nothing to do with what they went to school.
100,000%. Yeah, absolutely. I went to college for the Pell Grant. I'm gonna be 100% honest. So I went to college, and it kind of wasn't my thing. My sister did the college. She was very successful. Went to Loyola. She did a phenomenal job at Loyola. She's in law now. And I was kind of like following her a little bit. Okay, she did it. Okay, I'm gonna do it. But it wasn't for me. It wasn't my cup of tea. And I remember coming home on the Holman bus, coming back home with my cousin, and we were looking at our Pell Grant paperwork, and it was like, okay, this pays for the books, this pays for this pays for that, and it was like $1,400 left over. And I'm like, what happened with this $1,400? And when I went in to talk to the people at the school, and they were like, that $1,400 is yours. Man, I ain't seen a check like that a day in my life. And that was it. I got that $1,400, and I think I started at Western and Roosevelt and literally walked all the way down to Foster and Western looking for a car. So I walked on one side all the way down at 9 in the morning. By the time I made it back, all the way back to Roosevelt, it was the first one light car dealership that I saw a car at, and I bought a car. I think the car was $1,000. It was $1,000 down on the car, and I had to make payments, right to the shop. And I had $200 for insurance, and I had $200 in my pocket, and I was rich. And that was just about the end of my college career.
Oh man!
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. That was it.
So what did you do once you got out of college? Like you said, what?
So I got out of college. I was already dibbling down in real estate, so I just went into that full time, 100% full time, and just started selling houses, buying and selling. When I first got into the business, money wasn't a determining factor. I really loved what I was doing. I'm being honest with you. I just love bringing people together and know that I, helped in that transaction, bringing a buyer and a seller. Somebody want to buy, somebody want to sell, and I brought them together, and then made a deal, a win-win-win deal. And that was everything. The money really meant nothing. At that time, I moved out. I had an apartment right in front of Lil Jack on Ferdinand. And I was there for a while. I think my rent was like $450. So when I sold a house back then, if I made $1,600, I would pay 3 months rent, and I had $400. I paid my rent in advance because I didn't know. I knew I did not want to move back home with my parents. I wanted to be out. I wanted to be on. I wanted to be independent. And I paid my rent every time I closed the deal back then because, they were far and few in between, just starting off, far and few in between. So I would pay my rent way up in advance, and then I had $400 to play with until I closed another deal.
Right.
But we worked hard. I mean, very hard back in the day. You're talking about 12-hour days every day, in the office at 9, leaving the office at 9.
Mm-hmm. I get that, man. I want to piggyback off of what you had said when you spoke about being in between the person that wanted to sell and the person that wanted to buy.
Yeah.
That's very important, right? Yeah. And I can relate to that so much because from the street point and in corporate world, that's what I always been good at for some reason. Yeah. I always been good at being a middleman. It's crazy. And it's like when coming up young, I thought as the middleman being really nobody. It's either the man or the man trying to be the man.
Yeah.
I never understood the concept because at the end of the day, when you really dissect this, the middleman is really the only one that can win big because you dictate your price. The seller has a cap. The buyer has a cap because he has only what he's willing to spend.
Yep.
Your position in between is to find the best deal between him and him. That could be anything.
Sure.
Your money has no cap on it.
To a certain extent, yes, that's correct.
And that's
very
crazy.
Correct. Yeah, very correct. I mean, you have a person that wants to accomplish a task, and you have another person, that wants to accomplish a task, and then you just bringing those two people together.
Yeah.
It happens in a lot of different facets of the economy.
Yes.
So
yes.
I just, got into real estate and loved to do it, and like I said, it was an extreme passion, and like you say, the middleman is, we're middlemen, but we provide services, because you got to think about it. You have a buyer here that probably doesn't know the necessary steps, what it takes. So you're bringing them all the way up to get approved and tell them about the job and tell them about the different programs. So I interview all my buyers to figure out where they're at, to know exactly where to position them, to know where they need to be at so that they can be able to purchase, and then you have a seller on the other side that's looking for somebody to purchase a product, and you bringing them together.
And you win. You win good because like I say, it's no price tag on the middleman. It's just how you negotiate.
Correct.
You feel me?
Correct.
So
Correct. So you set your bar and you know what you're worth, there is no, like I said, there is no cap, but we do have certain ranges that we try to be in, but there is no cap. But at the end of the day, you're just trying to bring these people together. And long as, like you say, win for the middleman, but I look at it as win, win, win. For everybody.
It's definitely a win for everybody. But I mean, so like this, right? What we talked about earlier when I sold my first property, they offered a certain amount over, right? So now the agents, middlemen, or middlewoman, or whoever,
Sure. Middle person,
right? They get a nice percentage of the sale.
Sure.
So if they offering more, I believe they get more money.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure, absolutely. So generally when you talk about real estate brokerage business, it is commission based.
Right.
So the more your client wins, the more you win. Increment, small percentage. The principals in the transaction get the lion's share. So the seller will get the lion's share in that scenario. But we get a little bit more. But our job is we get that from our marketing. So when you come to list the property, with a licensed real estate broker, that's a part of the multiple listing service. We provide those services. That starts our marketing. Then realtors do so much more in terms of marketing as well. With the online presence and making sure you driving attention to this particular property. And when you drive attention to the property, that's what attracts the buyer, and then hence the transaction.
Okay, so you said that your father was already in the real estate. So did he have like the same thing you got going on, or he was just buying, renting? What was he doing?
Yeah, he owned properties. He owned multi-units, quite a few multi-units on a lot of property. And he did real estate for a extended period of time. But he was real chill, man. It was not really progressive. So when I brought the youth in, and coming with these youthful young ideas of things that we can do to turn the office over to make it much more and more profitable, that's when eventually I started taking more of a leadership role. But yeah, he did real estate, and he collected rents, and he would always tell me, "Don't accept cash, son, when you own property." I'm like, "Why?" And I would go with him when he would pick up rents, and he was like, "Well, you start off on the third floor, they give you cash, the person to put on the mask and be waiting on you on the first floor to rob you and stick you up." Like, oh, okay, got it, all right. So yeah, he did own properties, and he did brokerage as well, but it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't too profitable. Like, agents would close transactions, and we'd have to run to the bank to deposit the check to pay out the commission, because you didn't want to be NSF. So, and that's how we were operating.
Now, is your father still alive?
No, he passed away.
How long ago?
Right now, about 14 years ago now.
14 years.
Yeah.
So the property that he owned, what did y'all just got rid of him, or just kept him, hold on to him?
Well, he had sold off a lot, and then we had some properties after he passed away that we eventually sold off to. After he passed away for a while. It was family buildings, and family was staying in it, in those buildings, and we eventually moved on, and I put my mom up in a nice spot in Oak Park.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I noticed when we was talking off camera, we was talking about the property that you actually bought that you was collecting rent about. Tell me about that. What was that? Now, and was this your first and only?
Yes. So first, if I recall correctly, told you how old I was earlier. If I recall correctly, I think I was about 20, maybe 21, somewhere in that neighborhood. And I bought my first property in North Austin, and it was a 2-flat, and I was going to renovate it. And as I was going through that process, I had to move the tenants out. And at that time, I was going back and forth to court, on a 30-day notice, trying to get them out. They were fighting me, and this went on for an extended period of time. If I can recall, 6 to 8 to 9 months. And finally, the judge told them, he dropped the gavel and said, "You got 2 weeks. You got to get out in 2 weeks." And I was so excited. I went out to dinner. And after that, and then I got a call, but at that time we had pagers. So I got a page, and I returned the page and it was a screaming lady from across the street from my building saying, Mr. Hunter, your building's on fire. It's on fire. It's burning down. I'm like, oh my God, the tenants burned my building down because they had to move out. And so I continued eating the dinner. At that time, I didn't rush. And then I went over to the property. And I pulled in the alley because they said the garage had burned down. Well, the garage was burned down to shreds, and I looked in the back of the siding on the actual building. It was all melted and burnt. And I saw the tenants peering out the back porch window, looking at the burning fire. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. You're going to burn the building down, can burn your own self up. So from that particular point, eventually moved out in insurance. I got insurance to renovate the building and eventually sold it. So actually kind of helped me out. Got a new garage, new siding. And that was my first tenant and my last tenant in my real estate career.
So was it a single family?
It was a 2-flat.
2-flat?
It was a 2-flat, yeah. It was a 2-flat.
So, so that's funny. So that made you just say, I don't want to do it no more at all. Like, no. Did you ever want to try it again? Or?
So yes and no. It was not necessarily that 100% influenced me. I just went off into a different area of investing. You got long-term investors, short-term investors. So I just did more of the fix and flips at that particular point in time, and I just stayed away from the tenant basis, even though that is a amazing way to build long-term transferable wealth, having tenants. Mm-hmm. And I sell these properties all day, every day. Multi-units is kind of one of my specialties. Mm-hmm. And it just wasn't my cup of tea. There's so many ways you can get into real estate, mm-hmm. and so many ways that you can make real estate work for you, but mm-hmm. you got to find your niche. Mm-hmm. And I just knew at that particular point in time that wasn't my niche. Right. I didn't want to deal with that.
I tried a few angles in real estate. I'll tell you about this story, all right? And it's just so funny as hell. It's like I'm a magnet for fucking money or something.
Okay.
Right? So when I bought my first property, right, maybe like 2 years into it, because I think I bought it I got into real estate in 2017, I think. 2017, 2018, some shit like that. But a white dude called my phone, mm-hmm. right? He was buying tax liens, mm-hmm. right? He called me and said, well, I'm calling because I see you back on your taxes or some shit. And I'm like, I'm not back on my taxes. I'm like, how you get my number, right? Come to find out that he does rehabs and shit, right? So I learned about the, what was that method that they call it? Where you kind of middleman the properties and you get paid.
Wholesaling?
Wholesaling, that's what it was,
mm-hmm.
right? So he was like, if you could find people that's, might be in trouble with their property and need some help, want to sell it to get out of it, let me know. So I got to calling around, I interact with a lot of people. Yeah. Right? And one of my customers, his mom had a house, single family home over there on Cicero and I want to say Walbanzia, up in that area.
Yeah, I know where you're at. Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Right, over there.
It's a single family home.
She had a tenant in there, wasn't paying rent. Backed up on the water bill, in a compromising situation.
Sure.
Man, I put him in tune. Man, they went over there and rehab. Now this man live in Vegas. I never met this motherfucker mm-hmm. a day in my life. We just talking and just conversing about wholesaling. Yeah. So once I found that, I called him. I said I might potentially have somebody. Mm-hmm. They wind up rehabbing it. They actually wind up getting the tenants out. Rehabbed it. Sold it, and he sent me a check for $5,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, that's wholesaling. Yeah.
He actually he Zelled me. He didn't send a check.
He Zelled you. Yeah. And
that was crazy. I don't even know how he looked.
Wow. Yeah.
I wish we could have did more. I
Yeah,
actually
you
didn't
need to
do
do more
no
deals
more
with
with
them. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't find nobody to the point when I just started wanting to buy my own. I kind of like
Exactly.
just, because I know, it's kind of hard to deal with our own kind sometimes. They could be a little bit extra,
Yeah,
so.
it's more of an educational process. When like I said, when I started in real estate, my dad used to read the papers a lot and Wall Street journals a lot, and he would give me a stat that blew my mind away, and I wondered what those numbers look like today. Mm-hmm. But he told me that African Americans are 200 years behind Caucasians in home ownership. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of years, and that's a lot of negative thoughts in the back of your mind as you're getting ready to go through that home buying process. Mm-hmm. So that makes it a little bit more challenging for us to go from renting to actually owning. Because we didn't see it. Once you see it year after year after year after year, you'll consider renting is not an option, or it's a short-term option to get you to actually home ownership. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Do you, it's going to be a lot of people that watch this interview when it pertains to real estate, because a lot of people, trying to get into real estate, they trying to fix their situations, financially. I see a lot of us as, we getting into, things like that. So when it comes to investments, what do you think would be the better route to go in terms of buying a house or buying a unit?
Good question. I usually advise people to buy a multi-unit first, because there's some ways that, if you're working with good lenders, that you can probably still retain your first-time home buyer eligibility status, and then buy a single-family home, and still possibly with a minimum amount down. Mm-hmm. So yeah, multi-units is the way to go. They have this term out now called house hacking, and it's definitely the way to go. Get somebody to help you pay your rent. But it depends on where you're at in your life too. Mm-hmm. Do you want to be dealing with another person living with you in that type of arrangement, or do you want your own thing, your own space, totally a backyard? That when you put your swing set up, your kids back there, you ain't got to worry about nothing. You can go away and come back, go to work and come back, and it's still there. Or do you want to get the actual income from the tenant to help and aid you in paying the mortgage? Mm-hmm. So it just depends on where you're at. But if you have to ask me, what do I advise people? Buy a multi-unit first, then buy a single-family home second. Because of the first-time home buyer and down payment part.
Right. So a lot of people don't know that FHA cover up to 4 units. I don't think they know that.
Yeah, FHA can go up to 4 units. And also, when I first started in the business, our real estate contracts from our boards had written in for your down payment or loan to value 20%. So every time you bought a home, it was considered you had to have 20% down.
Right.
And a lot of people in our neighborhood and the communities did not have 20%. So at that point in time, I think the down payment was like 5% before it dropped down here now where it's at now to 3.5%. Yeah. So back in the day, we used to have to scratch out 20% and say, no, we got 5%. But the contract was standardly written that way. So yeah, you can, with FHA, buy up to 4 units.
Right.
Mixed use properties, single family homes, condos.
That would be my route. And also, by me being in the real estate game and understanding, like you said, it's about where you at in life.
Yeah.
Me personally, I kind of feel where you at now with the buy, fix, and flip shit. Yeah. The tenant thing it's a headache, man. Although my thing was I had 2 units. I would rather have something like 54 units like that. Cut 1 grass, shovel 1 snow for all these units. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And on top of that, let a management company handle the building. See, I was managing my own shit, and I'm way out here, and fucking properties is out east, and that's a 2-hour damn near commute trying to get there. And tenants just, it seemed like it's always something when rent due.
Always.
Oh, the light bulb.
Always.
Nigga,
the toilet seat. Yeah.
These is men out here, whole families in my property, and he act like he can't even tighten up a screw on the damn doorknob. Yeah. They want me to come out there and literally screw a screw in the doorknob. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
They want you to earn that rent.
Man, it's ridiculous.
They want you to earn that rent.
It was
ridiculous. Yeah. It's I have a lot of clients that take the approach that you just mentioned. So they'll have a couple multi-units here, a multi-unit there, and they prefer to put it all under one roof. And then, like I said, buy 20, 30, 40, 54 unit, like you mentioned, and then, just have one place that they have to be worried about,
right,
versus multiple.
That's my ultimate goal. I just want 3 of those, and that'll be enough capital for me to live off the rest of my life.
Yeah, you can absolutely do it, and those are hot.
Yeah, I know.
Hot. The rental game has steadily increased. Rents have steadily increased, even when the market collapsed during the recession in 05, 06, 07, depending on what part of the pendulum you're in. The rental market continued to rise, and it was like, wow, prices have plummeted, but the rental prices have continued to rise. So it is definitely the way to go in terms of long-term sustainable transferable wealth owning multi-units.
My thing is this, though. I had my property before the market went up, and they wasn't paying rent then. So how in the fuck they expect to get it now and it's going up?
Right.
This is what I don't understand. I wasn't getting it then.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's like you gotta go with the times, So eventually, for renters, typically what ends up happening, they get to a certain point where they're tired of spending so much money in rent that's going out the door that they can't get anything back for, and then that eventually propels them and motivates them into wanting to be a homeowner and say, you know what, I'm gonna pay myself. I'm gonna get a tenant that's gonna pay me. And so that's what happens, because as the rent starts to steadily increase, no matter what's going on with the building, hey, rent's going up, especially if you're dealing with a professional management company. They're built in, and they're going to continue to go up, regardless of the services or quality or whatever's being provided. It's just basic economics. And so most renters say, hey, you know what, enough is enough. That's the end of my lease. I'm buying.
Now, see, that's my problem, because I'm kind of spoiled and I'm kind of bougie, but I'm kind of hood, right? I can't live in the city at all.
Yeah.
I'm just too close to bullshit.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't mind taking 45-minute drive home.
Yeah.
I don't mind it.
Yeah. To live to do it again another day.
But my thing is, I don't know where I want to be planted at for 30 years. Because I really want to buy some property in the DR. That's where I want to move to.
Yeah.
I want to move to Sasua. So I move every year. I'm still renting. I move every year, trying to figure out what fucking neighborhood I really want to stay in. You know what I'm saying? And that's the only reason why I don't own a home, because I don't know where I want to put that motherfucker.
Yeah, you're just trying different neighborhoods, different communities until you're ready to anchor down.
But like you said, so this townhouse I'm in now, right? This is actually the longest I've been there. It'll be 3 years coming up. The longest I done been any goddamn well, because I kind of like that area. You know what I mean? Yeah. When I first got it, it was $1,650, right? They had a property management company managing it or whatever. So what happened was I was going through a breakup, and I wound up just moving anywhere. I moved in Mount Prospect, a little stupid ass complex that I just hated. I don't even know why I moved there.
Yeah.
I just had to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When this place opened up, where it was opening up, I saw it on Zillow or some shit, and I'm like, I filled out for it. They hadn't called me. I called them. They like, oh, well, it's 5 people trying to get it. And I'm thinking of the area. I'm like, they not finna give it to me. I'm the only black motherfucker that want it. So they not finna give it to me.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I got to looking somewhere else, right? Long story short, they called me, hey, you still want it? And I'm on my last month of lease over there. They trying to force me to sign another lease.
Yeah.
I'm holding off. So I said, hell yeah, I want them.
Yeah.
Move out here. $1,650, right?
Yeah.
The next year, which was last year, before I signed a new lease, she texted me and said, oh, rent going up $200 if you want to re-sign. So now I'm $1,850. Oh, okay, that ain't bad. Cool, right? Whole nother year. Now, this is this year, April coming up, right?
Okay.
She called me 2 weeks after my lease was up and said, oh, I forgot. If you want to sign a lease, I'm going up $300 more.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, this is what the fuck she told me.
Yeah.
Right? So now I'm at $2,250 in this motherfucker.
Yeah.
In 3 years.
From $1,650, yeah, that's crazy.
So now I'm looking at this shit because now she done caught me with my pants down. I'm comfortable. I don't feel like looking for no damn places and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And she know I'm gonna pay this shit. She don't have no problem with me paying my bills. You feel me? She actually want me to stay.
Yeah.
And she know I can afford this shit. That's why I think she went up on my shit.
Wow.
I ain't gonna even lie to you, man.
Wow. Well, that's the beauty of owning. You know, looking from the other perspective. You know, she can do whatever she wants to do in terms of the rent. Yeah. You know, with as long as it's legal. So she's continuing to go up and up. And guess what's gonna happen next year? No. She's gonna go up again. She gonna go up again. So,
I'm kind of thinking she will.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking.
That's the trends so far.
Yeah. Because I've been looking like, you know, just brazen to see, you know, what rent's looking like. Where I'm at now is still under what everybody else paying around me.
Okay, so you came in with a good rent, man. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. That's why I couldn't believe it. Because, okay, so what happened was the pictures that they had on Zillow were not that great. It was before they fixed it to how it look now.
Got it.
So I'm like, $1,650 for that? Not really, but I see why it's so cheap. So when it was fucking police officer or something living there with his wife and kids, dog, and all that shit, and they transferred him out of state. So that's why he was leaving. So when I went to go look at the motherfucker, he was already gone. They had fucking, it's just remarkable what paint would do. All it did was paint it.
Yeah.
It looked like a whole different place.
Yeah.
Like like my stairs that go up was, you know, the wood and shit. All they did was painted all the wood white. That's all they did.
And modernize it a little bit.
New refrigerator, new stove, you feel me? New wash and dry that shit. And it looked totally different.
Yeah, fresh coat of paint when a tenant moves out is usually, you know, standard. And it will brighten up a place. Because, you know, when you're living in a place that's normal wear and tear, hair marks, whatever, you know, all over the place, fingerprints, depending on how many kids in there, you know, just doing normal wear and tear stuff. So it's pretty standard that they should paint landlords.
No, I mean they changed the outlook of it. When I came, it was this kind of, the stairs was this wood.
Okay.
When I saw it on the pictures, it was the regular brown standard stairs with the borders, all that shit. Yeah. When I got there, they painted all of it white. Okay. Repainted the walls, but they painted all the wood shit white, and it looked totally different. Yeah. Like it's crazy. Yeah. Like it looked totally different, bro.
Fresh coat of paint go a long way.
Man, that shit is crazy. Yeah, but the rent is getting ridiculous now, bro.
Yeah,
like,
it's getting higher and higher. And then certain parts of the country, they have like rent caps where, you know, rents are capped off. Not in Illinois yet, but I do hear people talking about it. I do hear some people talking about rent caps where, you know, rents will be eventually capped off at a certain point, you know, because what happened to you starting at $1,650 and now at $2,250 in 3 years, that's great. Where does it end? When does it stop?
Right.
You know, when does it stop? But, you know, price of living, price of everything is going up. So they try to increase the rents to match, you know, the cost of living.
The cost of living.
Yeah. So like I said, you get to a certain point, like, okay, when is enough? You know, when am I going? Because then, like, before the interest rates really skyrocketed, which historically is not too high now. When I started in the business, it was double digits. And we were paying first month's mortgage, to try to, you know, get people to buy homes. But traditionally, the rent should cover the mortgage, you know, 100%, you know, and that's how it always was before rents kind of went sky high.
But the people the people who bought properties back in the 90s and 80s, they winning big now because them motherfuckers paid for.
If they still got them, yeah.
If they still got them.
Yeah, they still got them, yeah.
I heard that a lot of those big units, like those big ass, you know, 54 plus units are all grandfathered in, like they just passing them down.
Oh no, they move. A lot of those properties move a lot. People get tired of it. They get tired of it, especially if they self-manage. It's a lot. Imagine you're upset with one tenant didn't pay in your multi and your two flat. How about, you know, 12 and 14? Yeah, don't pay.
I don't want to think about
this. And then in court, and then you're paying. Now that's a bigger nut. That's a bigger mortgage that you're paying obviously on a 54 unit, and then to have, you know, 10 tenants not paying. And like during the pandemic, it was really tough on landlords, and there was no relief given to landlords. A lot of relief were given to tenants, and rightfully so. But there was no relief whatsoever. That mortgage is due.
One of my tenants did that shit to me, forged my name on that housing shit, and got some money because that's what I was trying to do. They was telling me something about a fucking deferment or some shit like that. Yeah. But I'm like, shit, I can use the little housing shit and pay for it. So I was gonna do this shit, and when I filled out and called, when I filled out, they denied it. So I called. I was going on. He was like, well, we already approved for such and such. I think they got like, they didn't get much. They got like 3,500 or some shit. But still, though, they ain't paying me rent. And they done forged my name.
Did the check go to them, or who did the check go to?
Them.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, they had been got the money. I found out like probably a month later or some shit.
Were they paying? And if they were late, did they get caught up?
No, I had to get them out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a whole shit show, you know, and that's why I say like it's really kind of dangerous when you mess with them property management companies too, because what I notice is a lot of people what the fuck is that shit?
Self-managed?
No, they do the what is them numbers that everybody CPNs and shit. You know, people use CPN numbers to move in your fucking property, and property management companies don't care. They just want to fill that slot and get they 7 to 10%.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck about how thorough their information is.
Yeah.
All they want is the tenant. So that can burn you a lot. And I know, you know, me and Leotis talked about somebody got him like that.
That's terrible.
You know, but you know Leotis, he be thorough with his shit. He
That's
went
good.
to court. He go to court and all that. He'll show up with a blue suit on.
Yeah, he's a businessman. And you got to take this job seriously. You got to take it serious. You got to treat it like a job. Like I wouldn't exclusively have a property management company make the final say so on tenant selection. You know, I'm going to have a say so. I'm going to look at it because these tenants can finesse you. But I knew a lot of property owners back in the day. I know property owners today that will do surprise pop-ups prior to approving a tenant and go buy their apartment. And there's no amount of fabuloso that you can lay out that's going to get your apartment in order. So I know a lot of landlords that do that. You know, they'll go buy and pop in. Hey, I'm about to choose this person. Just go knock on the door.
Yeah,
that
was my biggest. That was my biggest downfall. Not checking on my properties.
Yeah,
it was times I hadn't been out there 8-9 months.
Yeah,
because I had landscaping and all that. I had to go do that shit. You know what I mean? Something get broke. Like one of my customers, I got connections to all these people that do shit. So I ain't never go out there.
Yeah,
and I wind up, and I tell you how bad it was, bro. I got a $4,400 citation from the city from my nasty ass tenants.
For what?
For garbage.
Oh.
That building was my first property, so it was listed as my primary. So all my mail was going there. You feel me? And I would have my agent. Shout out to Michelle. You know, Michelle's my agent.
Big time. She's great.
She would go out there and get my mail and shit for me. But I guess she'd never go in the back. These motherfuckers would sift through my mail because they would give her my mail. They would sift through the mail and take the shit that the city sent me.
Oh my God, yeah.
You feel me? So I didn't know they were sending me court dates to go see about this shit.
And they thinking you ignoring it.
I didn't know, right? I just so when I finally found out what it was, which took me through hell to get to somebody that I needed to talk to in the city. It's so crazy how it's easy to get in trouble and hard as fuck to get out of it.
That's
I
life.
had to call 1 million people, sit online 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. I got so frustrated, I was tired. So I wind up she tell me, oh, well, you go through some.org and then you type in this woo out the bam, and I saw citation for garbage, citation for garbage, citation. And they was only $600 originally. They doubled. All 4 of them doubled.
Wow.
Man, I go out there to the building. I can't make this shit up, bro. It looked like my backyard and garage was a dump site.
Wow.
These nasty motherfuckers, like they were just throwing the shit out the window. In the backyard. Throwing it in the backyard.
Terrible.
Throwing it in the backyard. The garbage, I'm talking about rats. I got mice and everything in my building.
I was going to say, if the outside looked like that, you can imagine what the inside looks like in terms of the apartment.
They was nasty as hell, bro.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I couldn't, man. I said, how do you live like this?
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah.
Y'all didn't
you'll be surprised.
They didn't fuck my property up, man. It was brand new when I bought it.
Yep, you'll be surprised. And they don't want to leave, and they're not leaving. And they want to stay there forever because they love living like this. Like I said, if the garbage in the backyard looked like that, you can imagine what the apartment looked like. And you ain't got to imagine. You saw it. Yeah.
You don't really deal with the tenants now, but I was just gonna ask you, like,
how would you cipher between
a good tenant, man? because I thought I had it figured out. I was like, you know what? I ain't renting to nobody that ain't got a family. No single motherfuckers.
Sure.
Because the single mother, the dude's gonna have a million hoes over there acting crazy, tearing up your shit, and then the girl might have a deadbeat baby daddy, and she fucking around and having deadbeat niggas in and out, all that kind of shit.
I got news for you. The requirement to get into some of these apartments now are tougher than it is to get a mortgage. So if you just increase your standards in terms of what you're looking for and what you're not going to accept, sometimes your area also dictates the type of tenant you're going to get.
I agree with that.
You know, so but if you siphon through and make sure that they're working, you give the same criteria that it takes for a to get a mortgage. Use the same criteria. Because at the end of the day, you're paying a mortgage, they're paying you rent so you can pay your mortgage. You want these people to be responsible. So many people just want to lay their head down, just want to get in, because they know when they get in, it's going to be very difficult to get them out. And they'll do whatever it takes just to finesse you just to get in. So you got to check background checks. You got to do, job history, talk to previous landlords. Because once you say yes, they're in. You guys are in a marriage for a limited period of time. So you just got to double check, and make sure these people are really solid before moving them into your building. Because a tenant can potentially finesse you if this is what they're about.
Ruin your damn life.
Yeah, absolutely. And you stuck with that mortgage.
Yeah.
You're stuck with that payment. Yeah. You can't call up Chase Bank or whoever your bank is and say, hey, you know what, my tenant ain't paying. Give me a deferment. They don't want to hear that.
On the real. Yeah. I had it so bad. I noticed that you got to be firm and thorough to be a landlord. You can't. Yeah. The person I was when I first bought a property ain't the person I am now. Because I was real nice. They wasn't paying rent, and I was still over there fixing shit. Still over there. I remember they boilers went out. I bought new boilers and all kinds of shit, and wasn't getting no rent money.
Well, bad tenants in any size building will spread like cancer. So if you have a tenant in a 4-unit on the top floor not paying, and you think they're not even talking to the other tenants, they don't mess with them, whatever, I guarantee you, usually over time, a high percentage, it's just going to try to spread into your building. Nobody's paying. Oh, my allows not to pay? Oh, okay, cool. Bam. And it just starts, before you know it, nobody's paying in the building.
That's what
so you have to jump on it immediately, and when the tenants know that you are about your business and on your business, and they'll respect you. And they're going to pay your rent. You got to prioritize. I just don't understand, how could you not prioritize where you lay your head at? What type of person does not prioritize when they lay their head at? And saying, hey, I don't like these certain conditions in this apartment is not an excuse to not pay your rent.
It's crazy. I had a single mother, right, living on the first floor, and she had like 4 or 5 kids or something. She was Jamaican. She even had no social security number. But her uncle was already here. He had property. She was staying in his crib, and it wasn't big enough. They needed a 3-bedroom. She wanted, right? So the tenant I had on the second floor was grandfathered in. I honored his rent, which was $1,000, right? Okay. I just let him stay at $1,000. When she moved in, I charged her $1,250, right? After the first year, I'm assuming now they friends now.
Yeah.
She come to me like, oh, Jamal, it's really hard for me right now. I was hoping that maybe you can go down to $1,000 so I can be comfortable. And I'm thinking like, how the fuck?
Why would you get $1,000 on the head?
Right.
How'd you get $1,000 on the head?
You feel me?
Yeah.
And what my goof ass do, I did it.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Because here, okay. Now, I know a lot of people be like, hell no, I wouldn't do it. It's context to why I did that. Before her, I had a shit show. I finally got them out. Okay, you ain't got the $1,250. I'm cool with $1,000. I just don't want to have to go back to paying this fucking mortgage on my own.
Exactly, and for potentially 6 to 12 to 16 months.
You feel me?
You got to go through the process, the eviction process.
Right. At this point, I'm like, man, just give me what you got, man. Because at this point, you're in. And I know I can't get you out. And I don't want to go down this fucking road again. Yeah, that's an education. So a lot of times in real estate and everything we do in life, whether we go to college or not, I can consider experiences like that a Harvard education on the streets. So you got a Harvard education on the streets by your previous experience with the tenant that didn't pay and took forever to get out. Now you know. So now you may be a little bit more lenient with this tenant that got a lot of the principles that you're kind of looking for in the tenant.
and maybe they just fell in a little hard times and can't pay that particular amount of rent, but it'd be cheaper. Your original rent, it'd be cheaper to keep them in there. Cheaper to keep them sometimes.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, sometimes I know life can be lifing, but at this point in my life, I would never do that again.
Yeah.
Nice guys finish last.
100%.
And one thing I know about black people in particular, because I don't deal with other races, particular our people, you give them an inch, they taking a mile.
Yes.
You can't be nice to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I learned that just from business, even dealing with my customers at the shop. Our relationship so long that when I try to give them certain rules, they act like, oh, man, he cool, that's my boy. No, man, like I'm trying to run a legit business.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, cause like I have a short fuse when it come to people playing with my patience, because I'm respectful, I'm a gentleman. I'm a real nigga, I'm all that. And if I come to you and ask you to do certain things when it pertains to my business, by us being cool, I feel like you should honor that.
Yeah.
But when you don't honor what I'm trying to bring, I feel like you saying fuck me. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So then I take it there sometimes, And a lot of time my customers be like, damn, I'll be like, bro, you grown ass men, bro. How many times do I gotta keep telling you?
Yeah.
It's like it's sad that I have to do this for you to get it.
Yeah.
You think I like going there with you niggas?
Right.
No, I don't, because that's out of my character.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like we're dealing with grown ass 30-year-olds. You see what I'm saying? Because I never seen our kind. I never seen them getting order like they getting order for white folks.
Yeah, it's totally different, ain't it? That's crazy. That's wild, and sometimes they're just gonna respect other nationalities more than they're gonna respect you.
And it's a shame.
Even in some of our communities too, you'll find that you'll get robbed, but another nationality will walk down the street and they won't touch you.
Yep.
Running and jogging and doing everything else in our very same community. So yes, that is true. You give them an inch, they take a mile, and that's with most people. Give them an inch, they take a mile. If you're of that particular mentality. So, but sometimes it's hard for our people to stand on business and understand, respect, and understand business. You got to realize, as an African American business owner, you find yourself in a situation where people just don't respect you. They don't think that you, or they'll be in a situation like maybe you don't need it. In this business, you got to pay. You gotta pay exactly what you owe and stop asking for discounts. You'll have a business and like, oh, give me a play, give me a deal, and you won't go anywhere else and ask for that deal. You won't go anywhere else, but you feel that it's appropriate to ask for a deal because of the color of our
For sure.
Yeah,
and to put some context on that, it could be as simple as somebody with a clothing line, right? A brother selling T-shirts. Man, give me $40. Oh man, Joe, let me get it for $27, $30.
Yeah.
You feel me? But they'll take their ass to Neiman Marcus and get Gucci $900 for a pair of shoes and brag about it.
Yeah.
You feel 100%. What I'm saying?
Some people just don't feel like that. So I look at it from a real estate perspective. You can have 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Street. Let's say it's selling for $100,000. People will come in and say, $100,000? Regardless of what it's worth, let me give you 90. I give you 90 for it. Because they don't feel like they got a good deal unless they got for under what they were asking for it.
Right.
And that's not how this business works at all. That same property, 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Street, the same particular person, you come to them and say, hey, this building's selling for 80. Oh, can I get it for 60? Because they don't feel like they're getting a good deal unless they get something off of it. And I look at that principle totally totally opposite way. Every property I purchase, I pay that full price or over. And that's probably just about everything, because I knew what that property was going to bring to me. I knew it was going to bring to me, and a few $1,000s in this instance was going to stop me from making XYZ on a particular property. So making strong offers and trying to and getting the property. The ultimate goal is to get the property. So I ask people, like, if you're working with buyers or whatever, and you can ask a person. There's 10 offers on the property, and 10 people bidded on that property, and one person won the bid. Let's say the property is $500,000. One person won that bid at $500,000. Everybody else bid at $490, $480, $495. If you go ask all 9 of those people that lost that bid, would you have bid at $505 to get it? 90% of them will say yes, they would have. You're trying to get a deal, and you missed out on something for extra $30, $40 a month, if it's a mortgage or whatever, or cash or whatever, that could have, you could have been settled. You could have had your dream home. if you had went ahead and bid it what the property is worth.
Right.
Yeah, and the property is worth what a ready, willing, and able buyer is willing to pay for it. That's what a property is worth. You know, it's so funny. You know, from working, you know, in our communities for years and years and years and years, I've seen, you know, let's say, you know, this fictitious property again, 1234 Main Street. The neighbors will call up and say, hey, they'll see your sign in front of it. How much is this property worth? And you go, oh, whatever, $375. That's too much. That's too much. And I get it, and I do understand because prices are going up, up, and up, and that's going up and up in every facet of our life. And we're talking 20 plus years ago, Ma. So that property is $375, and it eventually sells. It's gone. When I hang up on the phone with this particular, you know, neighbor, what they call nosy neighbors or whatever, complaining, and then the person call in again to get another property on that block, and it's the same person a year or two later. How much is the property? Property's totally the same. It's $425 now. $425, and they're complaining, and then right they complaining, somebody making offers, buying properties, moving forward. So real estate continues to move. I used to do a lot of seminars earlier in my career, and I used to say prior to the recession that historically for the last 80 years, real estate has done nothing but improve in value, you know, prior to the recession, and it's continuing back on that stride again. And it's going to continue to go up. So you got to get in while you can, because while you're complaining, somebody's buying it and building long-term sustainable wealth for their family.
Now, when it comes to your clientele, what percentage of your clientele is urban? Our community, what percentage?
Overwhelming majority of my clientele is urban. Yeah, I work in the community, and I work. One of the largest black-owned real estate firms in the city of Chicago, and we've been on the west side for an extended period of time. It's kind of our forte, so I really love serving our community. I could have went anywhere with the knowledge over 30 plus years, being a second-generation real estate broker with my talents, but I feel like LeBron, I decided to keep my talents on the west side, right. You know, and that's strictly by choice. I totally just believe that our community shouldn't have to suffer, should get quality service, and somebody putting their interests first that may potentially look like them.
So, okay, because I'm a little confused here.
Okay.
Earlier you said that we are 200 years behind the Caucasian when it comes to real estate, right? Mm-hmm. If most of your clientele is urban, that means a lot of black people are buying property.
Big time. Absolutely. 100%. I totally agree. So you can still look at this thing and put it in context. You know, if you look at years and years and years of other races buying property is a priority. You're born that way. This is how you come out. You know, you've lived in your grandmother's home, your mother's home. Now it's time for you to buy a home. Now you flip that switch into some of our communities that were perpetual renters. It takes a little bit longer for them to get on the straight and narrow in terms of home ownership. So they may rent for an extended period of time before they say, hey, you know what, I'm going to buy. Versus certain other communities may buy immediately, fresh out of college. You know, so it's just totally different. So you look at, you know,
so you just saying that everybody had a head start.
Everybody had a head start. Right. Everybody had a head start, whether it's through real estate or insurance or life insurance. Mm-hmm. Life insurance can totally change people's lives. Yeah. You know, we move on and we pass and we transition, which we're all going to do one day. Mm-hmm. You know, we pass down bills and we pass to paying. Other nationalities, Johnny got a life insurance policy. Man, we finna crack $1 million. That's going to set that family up for generations. And guess what they're going to do because of what they've been.
If it falls in the right hands. Shit.
If it falls in the right hands, yeah. But it's a high probability. I'd rather let it fall in my hands. I'll tell you what to do with. Right. I mean, you know, and that's
for the majority.
For majority.
Yeah,
for majority.
Do
so,
right by it.
But yeah, so you want to pass on. You want to have a legacy, no matter what it is that you can pass on and pass down. That's how we build up, and we want to pass on, you know, long-term sustainable wealth, whether through real estate, whether it's through life insurance. And not pass it on your Section 8. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of our communities, that's what we want to do. We're passing down Section 8. And I've sold properties for estates many times when there were deep six-figure profits. All they had to do was sell. But, you know, when you die and there's, you know, estates consisting of 4, 5, 6, 7 people, and they all got to make a decision in order to move forward. And the responses I've gotten was, hey, I don't want to ruin my Section 8. And you're sitting here getting ready to walk with 80, 70, 80,000, and you can't position yourself to be able to move forward with your life because you're holding on to your Section 8 that you're paying on passing down.
Hold on.
That's an issue.
So if they get inherited money that goes against Section 8, they can't be on Section 8 with inherited?
Yeah, you let Section 8 know you got $100,000. So, yeah. So, and I've seen many times early in my career, like, half of the family saying, hey, let's do this. But, little Johnny, little Tom, Bob, whoever is saying, no, it's going to ruin my Section 8. And I don't want to ruin my Section 8. And because they're looking, at that as the prize.
That's crazy,
yeah,
man.
I've heard it all.
I want to know, how often do you come across motivated sellers?
Well, motivation is key to do anything. Like I say, we have to be motivated to buy. We got to be motivated to sell. And if you're not motivated, you're not going to move forward. We're motivated to go buy toilet tissue. It's the fear of running out of toilet tissue that makes us go buy toilet tissue. So motivation is key. And most of my sellers are motivated if they decide they say they're going to sell. High probability are motivated, but motivated sellers are, it depends on how deep is your motivation. Motivation is different from motivation and desperate. Mm-hmm. That's totally different. Like a fire sale, no, not a lot of those, but people are motivated to sell. But you have your parameters of what you're willing to, walk away with.
Right. I see the deal before. Where actually the buyer got a property for free. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because he had a motivated seller who, like you said, a grandmother or something died. It was the family house everybody grew up in. 12 different motherfuckers don't know what they want to do, so they decided to sell it. But they have had that house since the fucking 50s or something, so it was overpaid for no second loans or nothing on it. They had free and clear, and it was worth about, I think, $350 or some shit like that at the time. It was right over there by the YMCA.
Oh, word!
And they just Race gave it away. And Central.
Yeah, I know the area.
And it was so much equity in the house, they just paid their closing costs just to get rid of the motherfucker.
Wow.
So all he had to do was have the money in the bank for the closing costs. But the sellers paid the closing, and he just got
and the sellers walked away.
And they
agreed to walk away with
nothing. $330, some shit like that.
Oh, so they did walk away with a profit, you're saying?
Hell yeah, the building was paid for.
Oh,
so
got
it.
I thought you said somebody got a property for free.
No, the buyer, my homie.
Oh, okay.
Actually bought the property.
You mean like with no money down?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, yeah, that happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you get enough grants and things like that set up, and tax credits and things like that, yeah, you can walk away with, you can buy a property with no money down.
Oh, so you can still get it, although if the sellers don't pay the closing costs, you still have programs.
There are programs out there. Yeah, there are programs. Like I work with some lenders that they can pile on, because most times you get a grant, you can't get another grant, but I got some lenders that can pile on the grants, and you can get multiple grants depending on what you qualify for. So yes, there is a high probability that that you can buy a property with minimum amount down, or I've seen people with no money down, and no money out of pocket at closing, but after the recession, banks wanted buyers to have skin in the game. 100% financing went out the door because people were buying properties left and right as long as you had a pulse. You walked into a lender's office, and these were the programs that they were offering, and all you needed was a pulse, and it was stated income. You remember, no doc, and you could buy a property, and then hence the market just crashed because you had a lot of people that didn't necessarily qualify for these homes. Stated income, you stated what you made, and the banker wrote it down and then gave you the mortgage. And first payment default started kicking in left and right, and that crashed the real estate industry because of those programs. So then banks came out, banks got smart, like, hey, we need some skin in the game. Everybody got to come to the table with a down payment. Right. No matter what it is, some type of a down payment. Have some skin in the game. Be invested into this property.
Now, do you know about hard money lending?
Yeah, I know a little bit about it, yeah.
Okay, so for my audience, man, give us a brief synopsis of what hard money lending is.
Hard money lending is financing when the major banks say no to your investment deal. So you go try to get a conventional mortgage or FHA or VA or a government loan, or conventional loan, like I said. And if they say no, then hard money can be there for you. And it's generally a short-term loan. It's not a 30-year amortized loan, normally 12 months, 16 months, or 24 months. And you're going to pay a higher interest rate generally for it, higher points, but you're able to get the property. So certain lenders, certain hard money lenders put emphasis on certain things, like if you got a significant amount of money in the bank. Yeah, that would mean something. It wouldn't necessarily mean the whole entire world to FHA. You still need credit, you need job history, you need all those things. So if you're lacking in one of those areas, which is credit, if you're lacking in or down payment or job history, sometimes hard money could step in and say, okay, we'll give you a loan, but it's for short term. And a lot of people use hard money for like an acquisition and renovation or flip. You just got to be out of the property by a certain period of time. And if you extend that time, the numbers go up. So if you have a 12-month loan, hard money, and you at that 12 months and you need an extension, everything goes up higher and higher. And then at a certain point, they'll say they're not going to extend it anymore. So that's hard money financing.
So with the hard money, because I never did a hard money loan before. So how does that go? So does it go like a 50-50 project? Like, okay, you say, I have the property already. I just need funding fixing it. Mm-hmm. And they'll fund you a certain amount of money, but they give you like the money in increments and shit, right? They don't just give you the whole, they give you what you, how am I trying to put this? Like the list of things that you're trying to do. Mm-hmm. Right, okay.
Yeah, so you'll come to a hard money lender with a plan and a program. They'll work with you to figure out what you want to do. So let's say you want to buy this property, right? Let's say I like to use round numbers. So let's say you want to buy a property for $100,000. You want to put $100,000 in renovation into it, and it's going to be worth $400,000 when you're done. So you're being it for $2, it's worth $4. Hard money guy look at that and say, I like this deal. This deal makes sense, because they're always thinking that you're going to lose. So they're betting on you. So if you lose, they got a property with $200,000 in equity in it once the renovation is complete or whatever. Or let's say you don't complete it, you get 80% there. They still got some significant equity. So they're going to have their appraiser do a ARV appraisal to figure out what this property is going to be worth after repair value.
Which is, I don't mean to cut you off, but they listening, so tell them what ARV means.
After repair value.
Okay.
So it's ARV. They'll look and see how much is the property going to be worth after it's renovated and after the renovations are complete, and then they'll make a decision on whether they want to fund and do this loan. So nobody in any acquisition and renovation loan, nobody's just going to, well, I won't say nobody. 90+% or 98% of lenders are not going to give you all the renovation money up front, because guess what can happen?
You can run off.
You'll run off with it. So they're going to give you increments. So they may split it up into 3 to 4 draws. They have a person designated to come out to take a look to make sure that you have done enough to get, let's say in that $100,000 rehab budget, to get $33,000. Let's see, what all did you do? Okay, all right, you did all these items. Excellent. You get the next $33,000.
So you don't actually have to have a list of things that you're doing. So say okay, I got the property. The hard money lender agrees to the terms, and I say, okay, well, I need $20,000 this month because I need such this, and this. And once that's completed, and I have to prove to them that I completed that, and then I get the next check, or they just
so they're gonna look. So nobody's gonna nobody's gonna do a loan, or banks typically are not gonna do a loan without knowing the complete scope of work that you're gonna be doing. So they're gonna look at the entire thing. So let's say this building needs 100, but you're saying you know what? I'm gonna do $60,000 worth of work on this building. It's gonna be worth this. Now they're gonna look at that and say, no, you need 100, or we're setting you up for failure. There's a acquisition and renovation program called the 203K, where they give you money to acquire the property and to renovate it. Same thing there.
And that's what FHA.
That's what FHA, yeah. So same thing there. They're going to make sure that you're going to cover that entire renovation project, the entire scope of work. If not, they're setting you up for failure.
So the hard money lender basically leaves it up to you to get the contractors, the plumbers, and all that shit.
They want you to have all of that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They want you to have all of that, come to the table with your contractors, your repair bids and everything, and they're going to send somebody out to make sure that your repair bid makes sense, that you are covering everything. So and that contractor is not overcharging you as well, or equally damaging, undercharging you, because undercharging will come back to bite you. You got 4 estimates using round numbers. Everybody said 100. Three of them said 100, and one person said 50. And you're like, I'm going with the 50. The 50 is cheaper. Mm-hmm. But then, you get what you pay for in this world.
Right.
So
do they check for licenses as well?
Yeah, they want the person to be, licensed and qualified and have the insurance and and generally in a hard money situation having experience. And then, they're going to keep, and this is the same way you work with contractors if you're paying cash. You don't get ahead don't let the contractor get ahead of the job. So you have to make sure, that you still got enough money that you owe them that they won't run off from the job, and you can still take this money if they do and finish the job. So, and that's the purpose of them giving you draws. That's the purpose of a hard money lender giving you draws.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So how hard is it to get a hard money lender if you have no skin in the game? Because I remember inquiring about this, and I think I may have called to just inquire about it. Mm-hmm. And they was asking me shit like how much money you got in the bank, to how much, well, not how much I had in the bank, but how much am I willing to put into the project? Because I was actually trying to use them to get a property and rehab it. Yeah. I didn't have either at the time. Mm-hmm. So they was like, yeah, how much money do you have to put into the project? And
traditionally, hard money lenders, like I told you before, want to see you have some skin in the game. Lenders want to see you have some skin in the game, and they don't, because it's so easy to walk away. If you never... you crawl before you walk, So you got this one property, right? The property that you bought 15 years ago, right? And then you sold it, you made some money. Now you got some skin to go do a bigger project, right? Mm-hmm. So that's how it works. You crawl before you walk.
So basically, you saying if I called a hard money lender and I tell them, oh well, yeah, I own property now.
That's great. That's awesome. They want to see that, and they want to put a lien on it too if you don't. They want you to have some collateral. Absolutely,
something to take if you fuck up.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they're going to collateralize everything you got if you allow them, or if your situation calls for that. Right. But obviously you're trying to put up as little as possible. You try to let your investments stand on their own. Mm-hmm. Let them stand alone and stand on their own, and then because the last thing you want to do, you out here flipping a property on 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Street. And things go bad for whatever reason, whether the contractor run off, financial situation change, and you collateralize your principal residence, your home, and now you lose your home and the investment property. So you want to make sure you got that kind of in order, and you want to make sure your principal residence is out of the collateralization package, right. If you can. Yeah, right. If you can. But hard money is an option. It's a significant option if you know what you're doing, you got experience, because the interest rate is higher. Typically, your down payment is higher, the term is shorter, the points are higher, because there are people that hard money is investors giving you money out of their pants pocket. Right. They just got big pants pockets. You know what I mean? So and they're a little bit more hands on too. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the foreclosure process on hard money is a little bit quicker than a regular foreclosure process on a FHA or a conventional mortgage.
Right. Give me I want you to give me a brief thing about what it is that you do and your obviously your office. Tell me about it.
Sure. I wear several hats. I'm a real estate managing broker for Hunter's Realty, Inc. On the west side. They've been doing that, like I said, for 30 years or so.
Now, is that family business?
It's family business. I'm second generation family business. My dad started the business, and then I got into business, and then started running the business after I was in it for a few years.
Amazing.
We serve the west side, and I flip. I work with a lot of investors. We do a lot of new construction stuff on the west side. In addition to that, I own a title agency company, America's Preferred Title. And I wear quite a few hats. If it's real estate related, I know about it or I'm in it, to some extent.
That's what's up, man. So I understand, so how many employees do you have at your office?
So I got 28 licensed real estate brokers that I manage, and a great team. It's a family atmosphere. We put our clients first, ultimately, and that's kind of the way we kind of win. We always try to look for win-win-win situations and try to make sure I put our clients first and make sure they're getting what they want. And it all boils down to service, being available, education. Education is key, and being knowledgeable about all the products. Realtors serve as like a quarterback to a transaction, and a buyer in a buying situation is the owner of the team. And the real estate agent kind of directs everybody one way or the other. Or should I change it from quarterback to maybe manager? They manage the actual team to make sure we're putting all the pieces together. So if a buyer comes in or seller comes in, whatever the situation, we need to know about just about a little bit about everything so we can advise you, give you advice, and you make your own decision. Here's advice. You're looking for a lender. What's your situation? You only been on the job for a limited period of time, or you may have some dings on credit. Okay, we have the financing options for you. So we do a little interview and a buyer consultation with a buyer to sit down with them and meet with them. Same thing with the seller to figure out what their situation is. This is what we can help you with. These are the tools I have in my toolbox to help you in your situation.
Okay, so we cover wholesaling. We covered the renters market to a certain extent.
Yes.
What we didn't cover is the fix and flip game, right?
Sure.
Tell me about the capital gains tax, and when do you have to pay that, and how can you avoid paying that?
Well, I start off by saying I'm not an accountant, but I do have a very good accountant. So you got to get yourself, I tell everybody, get a good accountant. And if you stay in the game and you're flipping and continue to flip, it's a career. You don't want to get into, I wouldn't say you don't want to. You don't want to just do one, especially once your whistle get wet, you want to do more and more and more. So you can continue rolling over, and then eventually, trying to minimize your capital gain as much as possible. And that's with your write-offs, and that's with the renovations that you put into the property. The time that you held the property plays a major key in it. But I tell everybody, because I get that question a lot. I get that question from just mom and pop sellers. I get that question from potential investors as well. Get a good accountant. And I don't know if, I don't want to use any names, but the regular, accounting firms that we see on every corner that pop up during tax return season may be the accountant for you. But you don't want to mess with the IRS. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I had an accountant. I don't even want to say her name. She fucked me over, and it was just unprofessional, bad business, man. And the IRS caught up with my ass fucking with her. You know what I mean?
Terrible. Yeah, we all had. If you're in the real estate game, everybody got an IRS story,
they actually, I didn't even know they can go on your fucking accounts, man. They wipe my shit out.
Yeah.
I went to go buy me a damn city sticker for my plates on my car. I swiped the car, that motherfucker declined. I'm like, I know my shit ain't declined. Man, I owed them motherfuckers $42,000.
Yeah. Yeah, so they don't play. So like I say, get a good accountant. But I'll tell you something. I had some top-notch attorneys, accountants. I got into a tax situation, like everybody else probably has, and they garnish. They go in and take money out of your account.
I didn't know they could do that shit.
Yeah, they will. They'll go in and wipe it out. But there's a bright side to the story as well. And I was going to
take no more shit.
No. So yeah, so they take it, and I was going to all these different accountants trying to see how can I do this, and they all was saying, well, you got to pay it, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. And I'm downtown, I'm up north, River North, talking to all these people, and everybody looked at my case and said, yeah, you got to pay. Well, a good friend of mine introduced me to an accountant that I heard about for years, a bubblegum chewing sister. That I went into her office. Rest in peace, she's passed on now. And she had people outside and lined up like they had been out there for hours and hours and hours sitting there. And then as I'm sitting there waiting with my story, I'm like, man, butterflies in my stomach. And the police came in. This is in Oak Park. Police came in, and the lady was just screaming, one of the clients, give me my goddamn money back. And I'm like, I look at my buddy like, what you got me into? What's going on here? Well, she sat down. Finally, after coming to the office for maybe a 12 o'clock appointment, she got me in around 7 p.m. And I come in and sit down with her. And we're sitting there talking. She's going on my situation, looking at my returns. She goes, oh, did you sell a boat? I'm like, a boat? I ain't never owned no boat. Oh. She looked at the next tax return. Oh, did you do XYZ? Absolutely never did that. Did you do this? So to put it in context, she was able to get me all of the money that I owed back. She didn't deny that I didn't owe the IRS, but she went and redid my taxes for the last 5 years, and I think I owe maybe 70 grand, and she got $70,000 back from the returns that I'd already did, and then that money we gave to the IRS, and I owed them nothing. So, and this was and charge a very minimal amount. So, you know, obviously you got a tip or something like that. Yeah, I know. No, I know. She was amazing. And the flip side of that story, when they went in to take your account, they had to pay me back with a major amount of interest. So it was like, wow, I didn't know that went along with it because I've never been in a situation like that. So needless to say, I try to stay out of all tax situations now. I don't want to be in that anymore. Right.
So about the capital gains, right? Is it true, like, okay, so if I sell a property, is it true if I reinvest some of that money, I don't have to pay it?
Yeah. So you're kicking the can down the road. Basically.
So what percentage would I have to invest?
Well, so keep in mind, I always say this, and I don't want to give accounting advice. You know, I want to give real estate advice because I let accountants do that. You know what I mean? I want accountants to do what they do. What I've learned in this game, doing it for so long, I stay in my lane. So depending on your financial situation, the accountant is your best friend if you want to get into real estate and you want to try to avoid capital gain or minimize capital gain. The accountant is the way to go. Get a good quality accountant, and I have quite a few accountants. Yeah,
man, we're gonna have to do some business together.
Yeah,
man.
for sure.
I told you I'm gonna start getting back in, man. Shit was kind of high, so I've been chilling and just putting my money up, man. So I want to ask you, right? This depression that happened, what was that? Maybe 8, something like that. You think that ever come back where properties are dropped like they used to?
So like I say, it depends on how close you are to the fire, and certain people feel the fire sooner. So some people can say into 05, 06, 07, 08, whatever, depending on where you're at. I know my people felt it early on, before they made the announcement that it was a recession. My people were feeling it. My clientele were feeling it. So will that ever come back again? You know, I won't say no. Everything is possible. But banks are trying to do certain things that kind of limit and mitigate the chances of that happening again. So you look at these rates to skyrocket, kind of to try to quell things down a little bit. I don't know if it did. You still had lines of people lined up outside of properties. So will it ever happen again? Anything is possible. But banks have made it where you have to have a job now. Keep in mind, in the recession, you had 100% financing, you had stated income, you had no doc loans, come in, I'm a billionaire. Okay, you can get these 25 properties tomorrow, legally. This is legal because it's called stated income. No documents needed. So that's a disaster waiting to happen. Eventually, the bottom is going to fall out. Imagine you can walk in and say, I make $1 million, lender. Oh, sure, okay. You qualify for, $20 million loan. Let's get it. And you go to close and you close on it. And you may not have the financial wherewithal to make these payments. Eventually, foreclosures are going to happen. So banks are really scrutinizing files more and making sure that you got money coming into the game, no more stated. So that really was a major proponent to making the market crash like it did again. Mm-hmm. So it should be some checks and balances in there to try to make sure that never happens again. But inevitably, everything goes up. So just look at it from that perspective. So buyers that are waiting on the fence for the bottom to fall out,
be waiting forever.
It's a possibility. You might be waiting forever. So, like I said, same scenario. And I told you when I first started, same family called me up about properties that was at $350, that's now at $425 a year later, and complaining about those prices, and they continue to go up, and people are buying them and picking them up and setting up their family for financial stability and long-term wealth by owning real estate. Yeah.
For sure. Do you get more buyers that's families or single people?
That's a great question. So I am seeing more and more families come into our offices that are making financial family decisions.
I've heard that the qualification's so fucking high, it has to be a family by now.
Oh, well, yeah.
A lot of people not making that. Yeah. What is it, 150 now, something like that?
Well, you look at before, I used to see a lot of whether a husband or a man or a woman maybe coming in solo. Now they're coming in as couples, and they're coming in. But we get it all. I see it all. But I do see more couples that are buying. But real estate is for everybody. You don't have to have You don't have to be have a co-borrower with you to purchase a property. So sometimes buyers come in and they've been renting their whole life. So if they're single and they're renting, this is what you qualify with this income. And then you take that qualification, you look and say, these are the areas that you can live in based upon what you make and your DTI, your debt to income ratio. And then you make a decision, do I want to live there or should I wait until my income builds up? But more than likely, most people, you use the word motivation, if they're really motivated and they're motivated of getting out of this particular living situation, whatever it be, living in a bad neighborhood or tired of just spending their money and it going away to nothing but rent, and you're not getting any returns, you're not getting any tax returns, and you're committed and motivated to buying what I qualify for, okay, let's find something in that price range.
Let me ask you this. What advice would you give somebody like myself who don't want to buy in the city no more, but also want to own multi-units? Where else is there multi-units besides the city that's quote-unquote affordable?
Well, there are a lot of areas. I mean, it just depends. So the problem that you're going to run into when you leave the city is taxes. So when you're getting qualified for a mortgage, your lender is going to basically give you a pity payment, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, and PMI, depending on how much you're putting down. And usually that's with a standardized tax amount, basically somewhere around the city. But when you go to the suburbs, the taxes are higher. So if the taxes are higher, that means that you're going to qualify for less. Because in that formula, PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, all those go into what your payment is. So if the taxes are higher, that means your P&I is going to go down. So what you can buy is going to reduce. So the suburbs are a little tricky, but they do improve sometimes a little bit faster too in terms of what it's going to be worth in 4 or 5 years.
I was looking at some properties and I don't think there's Matson. What the hell is that out there by Harvey somewhere?
South.
It's by Harvey, maybe a little bit east of Harvey. What the hell is?
You got me out there.
Damn, what the name of that town is? Man, the properties I
Riverdale?
saw. No, I know it when I hear it, but Calumet City.
Oh my God.
Calumet City.
Yeah.
When I was looking at properties out there, them motherfuckers was $150 for 3 units.
Yeah.
But the taxes was more than the damn mortgage. I said, damn.
Yeah.
The property taxes, what, 14,000, some shit like that?
Yeah. You find it. So you look at taxes for certain communities and villages and areas, they have to get the money somehow to run the village. Mm-hmm. And property owners sometimes take the bigger bite of that brunt. Because you own property, so because they don't have all the income coming in from other businesses and things like that. So they're taxing the homeowners.
Right. Is Dalton? Dalton have high taxes?
I think all the suburbs got high taxes.
Oh, Dalton is a suburb?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, everything outside of Chicago would be a suburb. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it definitely. All these suburbs got high taxes. So it just depends. But if you want to live in there, that's fine. You can still buy in Dalton or whatever community that works and fits within your budget and with your monthly payment. So sometimes with these villages with higher taxes, like you just said, $300,000 for $150,000. Now, I never forget, I was selling one of my first new construction projects a long time ago. It was Cook County Housing Authority or something like that. Don't quote me on that. We had renovated some homes and they were in Riverdale. And it was like they had an entire plot of land. They built 3, and they were going to build the rest after those 3 sold. Needless to say, they never built the rest, and those 3 never sold. And we were doing open houses back then, and I was sitting at an open house. And if I had put every borrower together and made one happy family, they might have been able to qualify for a $150,000 mortgage. It was really tough, and it was really hard out there trying to get somebody at that point in time to buy $150,000. I think it was somewhere in that area, in that price range. New construction home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath home.
So tell me about how do you go about getting this new construction built? And tell me about that. How does that work? Like, cause I see I see people that's in real estate. They either a realtor, investor, loan officer, stuff like that. But you be having properties built and sold. Tell me about that process.
I work with investors that buy property, buy land, and fix them up, and build and construct new construction properties on them. It's a process. I get a lot of questions about new construction, and new construction. You have a lot of people with money that have the money to actually get into new construction, cash. The hardest part about the new construction game is getting the builder, and most of the builders that I work for are building lot after lot after lot after lot after lot. So that is the hardest part of the process in new construction, is getting somebody to be able to build them correctly, that know what they're doing, they have the experience to do it. So the new construction developments that we're doing out west were born from a lack of inventory, and the lack of inventory has been going on for an extended period of time. There's a lot of shadow inventory and lack of inventory that you really don't see, and that's been going on around the country for maybe, 15 years or so. So initially we were renovating, fix and flipping, but the foreclosure market is all but dried up, eliminated. There's almost no foreclosure. When I first started, I got in this business off of foreclosures, and I built my name in this business by doing foreclosures. I was a foreclosure REO broker. I sold thousands and thousands of foreclosures representing banks and financial institutions and the like. And once those dried up, hey, we still need to work. Contractors need to work. Everybody want to work. And so we just decided to buy up a bunch of lots and start building. And they're extremely desirable. They've been a hit. And people love new stuff. So the fix and flips, rehabs, always sell at a premium. They always sell top of the market. And you add a little bit more sauce on it and do new construction, and it's really desirable. Who don't want something new?
Yeah.
I always say people want to be the first person to use the toilet in that
Yeah,
home.
yeah. A lot of people would love you, especially with these high-ass mortgages. You might as well get what you want.
Yes.
Me personally, I don't think I would do that no more because of my experience. I think me personally, if I were to buy a house, well, I guess you could say, like we said in the beginning, it depends on your situation.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
totally.
But for me now, I probably would buy a shell and put my own equity in it.
And then renovate. So here's the deal. So yes, if you have the skills and the ability and the resources to be able to do that, but I don't advise that for everybody. You might be able to do it. You got experience. You can do it.
Yeah.
You have experience. But a lot of people with no experience, it could be the biggest, mess up that you probably can do. And I got news for you. It's hard to make a mistake in real estate. It's kind of hard because, you got an asset, even if you're renovating and making and renovating the property and the contractor taking forever, he can't finish. This property supposed to be done in January. It's now August. I can't believe this project ain't done. What I try to tell my investors and developers, guess what happened in that time frame that the contractor delayed? The property value went up. So when I originally quoted you this project, when you bought this property, what you thought the ARV, the after rehab value was going to be, 500. Well, now it's 540 in that time frame. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of it's hard to mess up. But I'll say buying a shell is pretty difficult. Yeah. And the biggest mistake, let me just say this one last thing. The biggest mistake a lot of people make is underestimating the renovation cost.
Rehab. Yep.
Underestimating.
And on top of that, it's hard for somebody to move into something new that's a shithole. I mean, like this for me. Like for me, if I wanted to buy a house, I would buy a piece of shit house. But I grew up poor, so I'm okay with having little to nothing. Yeah. I can live in a shithole until I fix it up.
Yes.
But guess what? I'm locked in for that low-ass mortgage for 30 years opposed to buying something at top value and
depends on your situation. You're
exactly
100% correct.
You know,
if that's your pain tolerance, your pain tolerance is to do that. Some people would lose their mind if they were in a situation like that. Mm-hmm. They would lose their mind in a situation like that.
And this and the piggyback off of that, this will almost never happen with a family.
No,
your wife ain't finna let you buy
no way,
shit.
No sir.
Man, shit, your wife want a house.
Yes, 100,000%. So, like I tell people this all the time. When couples come into my office and meet, the wife generally, if it's a couple, the wife will dictate the principal residence where it's going to be, and then the husband will dictate the investment property. So and when I say dictate, I mean make the final decision, the decision maker. Yeah. So yes, so in a situation like that, no, the wife is not going to allow you to live. And in a
especially if y'all doing good as a couple,
right?
You know?
See,
a woman can't see that vision.
Sometimes it can be a little bit difficult.
It's always, especially a wife and kids.
Yeah, it can be a little bit difficult.
She's like, oh, want this and the his and her sinks and
Yeah.
his and her mirrors
Yeah.
and the his and her toilets
Yeah,
and
all
the
of it.
stairway and the light
All of that.
fixtures and the paint. And
Yes, all of that.
oh, this could be the baby room and all that shit.
All of it. All of it. That's very true. I hear it and see it all the time. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure you
and
do.
I do believe you should get what you want.
Yeah, hell
You should get
yeah,
what
for
you want.
sure.
What
You
makes you
work
go.
hard, you
Yeah.
play hard.
Yeah.
Shit.
So once you give us our, hey, this is what I want, this is what I want to do. Okay, we got our marching orders. We know what to do to try to help and aid in you accomplishing whatever your real estate goal is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something for everybody.
Yeah, and
So you may
low
look at
key, it's some fucking $300,000-$400,000 shells that after repair is in the millions. You feel me?
big time.
Like,
Big
hell
time.
yeah.
Big time. The three biggest principles in real estate when I got started, it's the same three biggest principles in real estate today: location, location, location. Yeah. You know, obviously, you can take a property on the west side of Chicago and move that property to Lincoln Park, and the price goes up astronomically, and vice versa, and it's the same exact property. So it's location, location, location. Where do I feel comfortable about living, and sometimes what people consider to be the better areas. The price is going to reflect that.
Right. Have you ever lived downtown?
I have not lived downtown. No. West Side, True. I have not.
Yeah, it's too fucking noisy down there. I don't like doormen and all that extra.
Well,
don't
I
like that
considered it. I definitely considered it, and I did look at a few places to do, but I end up ultimately staying out west where I'm at now.
Yeah, I like backyards and porches.
Yeah,
and front
depends on where
yards
you
and
at.
shit.
Yeah. Now you may get it for maybe later on in life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe later. And I still can. It's still an option for me though.
I have a problem with staying in buildings with a lot of people. I don't want everybody having access to my front door. You know what I mean? Like when you stay in a building, everybody in the building got access to your door.
That's what
You
I
don't know
said.
who and then all it takes is one nasty motherfucker to contaminate the whole
That's
building.
exactly what I just said. Exactly. So you find you when you sitting down, you decide and you come into the conclusion, I'm going to buy something. You got to make a decision. Do I want to get have somebody help me pay my mortgage with a tenant, and then they had access to your property, this, that, and the third, and they're on the property. They may be nasty, or this, that, and the third. Or they may be great tenants. They could potentially be great tenants. Or do you want to buy a home or something where it's yours? When you leave it, it's going to be exactly the way it was when you left it. When you come back to it.
I think me personally, when it comes to the real estate, I think that other races have a little bit more edge on us in real estate. They have a little bit more options than us because when I first started learning about real estate, I came across this guy. He was a white guy or whatever. Him and his wife actually bought a house. That was their first property. They bought a house. And these motherfuckers rented their basement out to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Black people ain't doing no shit like that.
No, they're not. Typically, they're not. They're not. But they own and they bought. When I first started in this business in North Austin, I never forget a lot of our clientele, and still to this day, were Hispanics. They were buying up a lot of the properties on the west side, and this is 90s. They were buying up everything, and when I tell you, they worked McDonald's jobs. 2 or 3 families would come in and sit down. When we had a listing in the area, hey, we want to buy it. 2 or 3 families making a minimum wage, $5 to $7, whatever it was back then, making a minimum wage, and they were coming together as families to buy this home. And I would always sit back and say, I wonder, would we do that? And the answer was no. But you would have 2 or 3 family in-laws. Everybody was on this, and everybody worked minimum wage jobs. Mm-hmm. But they put their family and they put their resources together. One on the 2nd floor, 3rd floor. They in this bedroom. Somebody occupying the basement. It's 4 families on this loan.
That's
4
what the
names.
migrants doing.
Huh?
That's what the migrants doing right now.
4 names were on the loan, but they were buying.
And see, and that comes from living conditions because, like I said, I grew up poor. Mm-hmm. So the minimum for me, I could sleep on an air mattress and I'll be just as happy as I am sleeping in a $20 million mansion. I don't give a shit about that shit. And so you got to understand when these illegal...
Well, my back won't allow me to do that no more. But
no, I get it. But I'm just saying, the worst come to worst, I wouldn't lose pride in my manhood just because of the situation. But the migrants, Mexicans, all these other races that come from these other countries, I've been to these other countries. I see how they live. Mm-hmm. So coming over here and just to be able to live in a fucking shelter is 100% better than where they come from. Yeah. And so this is why they okay with 12 and 13 motherfuckers in the 2-bedroom apartment.
We in
They
America.
have an apartment.
We in America.
You feel me?
Yeah.
At home, we don't have an apartment. We had to sleep in the backyard, goddamn
Yes.
it. You feel me? So this is an upgrade. So guess what? We got 12 motherfuckers here that you work for Aldi's. He worked for White
yeah.
Castle. He worked for Jules.
Yeah.
He worked for McDonald's. And you got them little $200-$300 checks from 12 motherfuckers coming in every week. And guess what? Half of my family is Puerto Rican, right? And this is how they eat. When I was young, they buy one big ass bag of rice this big, one big ass bag of potatoes,
Wow.
one whole cow, a whole cow, right? And they saw on that motherfucker in potatoes and rice for 30 days.
Man.
The same motherfucking food.
Sounds delicious.
And they feed the whole fucking family for a month with a bag of potatoes, a bag of rice, maybe some vegetables in there, and we sawing on that cow.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
And guess what? You done fed the whole family for 30 days for under $100, $200.
Yeah, so a lot of foreigners come to America and see this to be the land of opportunity. It truly is a land of opportunity. This is a wonderful economy, wonderful place to build and grow. You're in America. There's so much opportunity, and they come here and they usually thrive because it's so much opportunity in America. And we may be sitting here looking at this opportunity, not taking advantage of it.
We take it for granted.
You take it for granted.
Because
we're
so used to this. I wish black people would let go of this 400 years of slavery shit. Ain't no motherfucker walking this earth went through this shit. No motherfucker right now living today been through that shit.
Yeah.
You can't use that as an excuse. Yeah, I respect our ancestors and everything they went through to get us to where we at now. But we don't have the excuses they got.
Yeah.
We have an opportunity to be whatever we want to be. I'm tired of hearing the white folks holding us back and we can't get this. Then no, you holding you back. Because for now, I haven't had much bad experiences with white folks. So I don't have this they us against them type of aura. You know what I mean? Shit, if you ask me, I only been fucked over by my own kind.
Damn. Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
I
So it's like I think it's just generational where we in competition with each other. You know what I'm saying? We don't feel right. And it's like seeing the world, seeing new things, different places and shit. Your interest in life start changing when you get older and shit. Because when the older I get, I'll be around more successful people.
Yeah.
And their aura, the way
Totally
they
different.
speak, the way they talk, the way they handle business is totally different from where I come from. The people with real money, you don't even know they got it. They dress regular. The motherfuckers who ain't got none or ain't in competition, they always got to wear what they got on their ass. They got to show everybody, I'm this, I'm that. And it's crazy as hell because I see that wealthy people don't want you to know they wealthy.
100%. Yeah.
They look like bums and you wouldn't even know it.
That's very true. Very true.
Cause me and my baby mama had well, she still live there with my daughter, but we had a house in Bartlett, big ass house, 6 beds, 4 baths. You know what I'm saying? Shit, we probably had the nicest cars in the neighborhood, and everybody got the same fucking house.
Yeah.
It's like a little subdivision, all big ass houses in there, right? Me and her daddy, you know, the black families, we probably had the nicest cars out of everybody. Everybody over there had regular Hyundais, Sonatas. It might be a BMW here and there. $700,000 houses. Wow. And motherfuckers got under $20,000 cars.
Yeah.
You feel me?
They look at it as, hey, we just need this to get from point A to point B.
And
that's all it is, point A to point B.
That's how I'm getting now, man. Like my truck, I'm finna sell that motherfucker tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm done with all these car notes. I'm done with all this extra shit. I just want to, I say.
That's financial freedom.
Well, yeah, because my car note is, with insurance and gas, I'm probably looking at about $2,200.
Yeah, that's
with insurance and gas every month.
Freedom,
yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's like, and that's why I say this is why I'm getting back into real estate, because that right there is too much on my debt to income. I gotta get rid of it for that purpose. That's the only reason I'm getting rid of it. I need all my money clear because I'm at the point now, I don't want no 2 units. I don't want no 4 units. I'm ready for 10 or better, 16 or better.
Yeah.
So I gotta come with a bag. Yeah. And I want everything to be clear off my name so it won't be no discrepancies.
Yeah.
Because my first property actually was the worst one. because it took me so long to close that I almost bagged out that shit. Like 5 or 6 months or something. They kept steady. I would give them the information. Loan officer, she needed. All the other people involved, they steady calling me. I'm like, why you can't just get it from the same motherfucker? Just call me. Why is y'all steady?
Well, that's going on today. So yeah.
Jesus
With certain
Christ,
lenders, yeah.
Man, that shit was a headache. And then I was so, like I said, I was so thirsty to get in it, and it wasn't happening fast enough. I thought because it already took me so long to find what I want. Mind you, I had been looking for 3 months.
Yeah.
Then another 5 to close, so I'm looking at damn near a year. And I'm getting impatient. Yeah. I'm ready to tell my agent, like, you know what, man, fuck this. Maybe it ain't meant for me. You know?
No, it's the wrong answer. No. But you bought that property, correct?
Yeah.
You stuck in there. So it's always these little roadblocks as you're trying to accomplish your goal, right?
Yeah.
Just like everything else, whatever your goal may be. And you'll get to a point where, like, you know what, this is it. I can't go. And you don't know your blessing was right on the other side of that particular point that you were at where you decided to back out. So good thing you stayed in there. There's always going to be these roadblocks. And keep in mind, it's always been situations where these banks, when I first started in this industry, did not want to loan in certain communities. So they would put more roadblocks on my buyers than they would for an average buyer with the same property purchase price in a different neighborhood. They make it so difficult and so many different laws that come into play. And you're like, hey, what's going on? And some of these things are called lender overlays where, you know, Fannie and Freddie is saying this is what it takes for you to buy a home. But the lender would put in additional stuff. You know, and it's called lender overlays to make it more and more difficult, and hoping that you do say, "The hell with this, I'm out." But you stuck in there, and I advise everybody stick in there because because what ends up happening typically, you can have a property with equity, you're gonna have a property eventually that you can pass down, sell, get the equity out of, refinance, get the equity, whatever. So absolutely stick in there, and kudos to you for sticking in there when you was ready to back out because they asked for the same document over and over and over and over. But guess what? You had the document.
Yeah. I just got tired of doing it over and over again.
Yeah.
But you know what I realized, and this is a message for anybody that might be dealing with you or getting into real estate. Anything good is gonna give you a headache. Ain't nothing good that's worth getting gonna come easy.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
And once I start getting into something and I see them roadblocks now, I say, oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Because if I wasn't supposed to be doing it, it'd be easy.
Absolutely.
It's easy to get in trouble.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
You feel me?
Yeah.
It's hard to do right. So
Yes.
with those roadblocks, now I'm thinking like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's life. That is life 100%. So you look at situations where, like you said it, I can't say it any better. It's really easy to do the wrong thing, and it's hard to do the right thing, whatever it is, whether it's weight loss or whatever you're trying to accomplish.
For sure.
So it's so easy to put it on, hard to take it off. Just hanging in there, having goals and try to accomplish your goals. If you have to start with small goals, and then, like I said, some people with credit issues and they got 4 or 5 bills, pay off the smallest one first and then build up. That'll give you confidence to know that, hey, I can do this. I paid off that bill. Now I'm going to go to this one, whether it's collections or whatever. Now I'm going to the biggest one. But now your stamina is built up because you paid off that small one. And now you're growing and growing and growing. And before you know it, it's all done and it's paid off. But it just takes perseverance. You set a goal. This is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. Too much of us live for today. We live for right now. And living for right now, you're not making any plans for the future. So you just don't wake up one day and say, I'm going to do this. You have to plan for it. You can't wake up, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a millionaire, Mom. I'm going to be a millionaire. Okay, what steps are you putting in place for that? Yes, you can be a millionaire because the power of spoken word is extremely important. And if you're saying you're going to do that, you're going to do it. Nothing is more powerful than the powerful spoken word. And you saying you're going to do something, you're going to do it. But now put the steps in. Put the necessary steps in place to make those things happen.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. Before we get up out of here, man, I want you to give these people a message, man, from Cedrick Hunter, man. Give these people some motivation, man. Anything you want to tell them.
What I like to say is you can do and achieve whatever you would like to achieve. I advise everyone to get into real estate. Like I said, it's the #1 wealth building, long-term, transferable wealth vehicle that we have out here. A lot of our people don't know about stocks. A lot of people don't know about bonds and all the other financial instruments, but we do know how to pay rent. So if you can pay rent, you can pay a mortgage. So if you don't own property, that should be your immediate goal, is to find your first piece of property. Get with a realtor, that can help you out throughout the process, that can advise you to some lenders, that can help you, and own your piece of America where no one can put you out. Nobody can tell you your music is too loud. Nobody can tell you stop smoking weed in your place. You own this, and you can do whatever you want to do in this property, and then that's going to continue to build and build and build wealth. And then eventually you'll look back, you'll look at your neighbor. You just paid XYZ for yours. Theirs is almost twice as much now. That means your equity went up, and you can make a decision from there. Continue to let your equity build up, sell the property, or whatever. So buy property and get some life insurance as well. And that's always key in terms of transferring that over, to your children as well. So
that's what's up, man. Give them your contact and your social media.
I can be reached on IG at Ced Hunter, CED Hunter, and then on Facebook at Cedrick Hunter, CEDRICK Hunter.
That's what's up, man. Man, this is another one from Not the Shop, man. I appreciate you for
awesome.
coming out. It's always a treat when
Yes,
players
sir.
meet.
Church.
Man, I appreciate you, man. Y'all make sure y'all like, subscribe. Remember, it don't cost you nothing to push a button.
That's it.
Till
100.
next time.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good interview. That was really good, man. Real good.